Welcome to another installment of Alliance Insights. I am Sharla Floyd, Director of Strategic Research and Development with the Academy at the Risk and Insurance Education Alliance, and I am delighted to be here joined by my friend Jack Elliott. Hi, Jack.
Hello, Sharla.
Thanks for being with us
How are you
today. Doing great.
Yeah.
Doing better getting to hang with you. How are you?
Amazing week. Incredible week. Hard to believe they fly by so fast. We're doing so much.
They really do. Well, and you say that you're doing so much. The last time that we spoke, you were in the middle of a walkthrough of what is shaping up to be a pretty significant renovation project. I don't know if it would be a renovation or a demolition, but just massive work undertaking. And I think that's really, I loved that that was your environment, because it really speaks to who you are and how you're such a roll up your sleeves and just get it done, get the work done, do the good work, you know, your versatility, your commitment to just anything that's thrown at you. I really love that about you. So we have a different environment today, and there are many hats, but I think they're all consistent hats. And again, that's testament to your character, you know. So I'd love to give you a chance to give the audience an introduction, who you are, where you're working, because I know you as the chair of the Academy Board, as an emerging talent partner to the Alliance, and as a tireless champion for emerging talent. But if you could give an intro, let's hear who you are.
Yeah, absolutely. Jack Elliott. I'm currently at Alera Group. I've been here 3 years. My career has only been in 3 places. So over a long career, only 3 places. And we'll talk about that a little bit. But yeah, Alera Group for 3 years. Propel is a big part of that for me. And operations for the Southeast, all states in the Southeast and the Northwest states as well. And then some satellites that we're pulling in. So lots of fun. I've always enjoyed operations. And I tell people, you know, my last place I helped build, now I'm helping build here. How many people get 2 opportunities like that? So I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, I really would think of you as a builder. I think that speaks to your strengths, and to kind of help amplify growth mode. I see you doing that with students. I see you doing that with university programs, high school programs. The fact that you get to do that on the daily is pretty incredible. And it speaks to the fact that you have a really powerful and compelling story, life story, personal story, but industry story. And it's a story that you've been keen to share, that you've been open to share. I would love to start at the beginning, right? How did you get into this extraordinary industry that has just made you who you are, or contributed to who you are?
All the way to the beginning, huh? Yeah. So,
beginning point.
so the interesting thing is that it was a high school program that started me off in this industry, and I had no idea what that meant at the time, obviously. But so there was a program in the high school in Birmingham that I was at, and it allowed you to go into certain fields. Each high school in the area had a certain field that it would go into, and this was a health magnet school. And so I'm sure people are thinking, okay, it was a health magnet school. How did you get to insurance? So I was able to talk my counselor into changing the paperwork a little bit and getting me into an insurance agency where my mom worked as the receptionist. And she did that for me. She said, you know, why would I not do that for you? I was the bookworm. I was the one studying all the time. So she was happy to do that for me. So at my junior and senior year in high school, I was at an insurance agency, McGriff, Sebulls, and Williams in Birmingham, Alabama. And my first job was microfilming. And there's going to be a select few people on here that will know exactly what that is. And you can tell our age when we know what that is. But right. I basically had this machine the size of a big desk, and I was rolling policies. We were all paper back then. So rolling policies through that, taking a picture of each page. And I would always get in trouble for being behind and not having enough going through the machine because I was reading the policies. So that tells you what a nerd I was. But I loved reading the claims. I just, it was fascinating. And so I learned everything I could the 15 years that I was at McGriff, and ended up in accounting for my last 5 or 6 years. And it's amazing what this industry really makes up. It's insurance, it's accounting, it's IT. So much comes together to make it happen. So at age 30, I felt a little bit like I was still being perceived as that 15-year-old, and I had to challenge myself a little bit. And so I went to CRC Group and into the accounting department there. And I was at CRC for 24 years. I learned everything I could there as well. Wound up as the chief administrative officer my last 4 or 5 years there. I had about 12 departments, from audit to training, you name it. So all things that connect to insurance. Had a fascinating career there, was able to help build that company. And then I needed another change. And that's one of the things I'm writing in my book. Don't be afraid of changes, right? Take that chance. And so I've been here at Alera for 3 years now, and building again, and VP of operations of 2 regions. And I love helping producers be able to do their job without all the noise. And we're having a really exciting time here. So along that path, I met everybody at the Alliance, and I have tremendous friends there, and served on a few boards that we can talk about. And it's been amazing there. I like to tell people the Alliance helped me more than I probably have helped the Alliance, because in my life I was very scared to talk in front of people, and serving on these boards to really serve, speak in front of groups, and then that led to speaking to students in the colleges, and it just continued. So it's been a fascinating time.
It's your whole journey is fascinating, and I think something that I heard a number of times in that descriptor was learning, continuing to learn, learning all you could, and that speaks to the fact that you really are just this, the picture of somebody committed to lifelong learning. Certainly, that connects with how you mapped initially to the Alliance. Could you tell us a little bit about your designation path, because that goes back to your accounting days? And yet it was accounting, like you said, it was a different function, but within this great industry, you can do so much in it. What kind of role did those designations play? What drove you to pursue those, seek those out? And that's really kind of the genesis of the story with the Alliance.
So I love telling how I started in the CISR program. So I transitioned from being accounting over to being the first auditor at CRC. And very first auditor, being owned by a bank, they had to have an audit team. So I was the first one, and we had an acquisition, and the leader of that location, who I became really close friends with, came to me and he said, "Come speak to all my underwriters." And so I go to the location, and I get ready to speak and answer questions. And Preston said, "Hey, Jack, I'm going to ask the first question." And in front of everybody, he says, "These are long-term underwriters. What gives you the ability to audit them when they've done that all of their life, and you've been in this industry on the insurance side for a hot minute?" And I froze. And I wasn't exactly sure how to answer that. I got my way through it. And then when I left, I decided, okay, I got to get some letters after my name. There has to be confidence from the field that I can do this. But I also need to know. So CISR was the first. CIC was the second. And then I got so excited. I even took it further. So I got my certified fraud examiner license. I started getting just different designations along the way. I have a few now, and it's been a few years since I've been studying for a new one, so I think it's probably time. And so I need to look at the Alliance and see what's next.
There's always something next. And it's so poignant that the CISR was your first designation, given that you are so passionate about the emerging talent programs and specifically the CISR High School Program. So high school exposure was such a critical point in your journey. What is it about connecting with high school now as an industry person now and helping to support those high school programs that means so much to you? What do you see as the potential in them?
Yeah, there's tremendous potential. So when I was speaking in the RMI programs, one of the most common things that students would come tell me is, I'm a senior and I just got into this RMI program, or I just got into it as a junior, like the end of my junior year, I got into it. And I'm like, wow, why are they waiting so late? And I think that was just because the message wasn't getting out there about the RMI programs and the CISR, the CIC. So I think if we get them in the high school and get them interested in risk management and insurance, and we start explaining a little bit more about insurance, it's not going knocking on every door down the street. You know, maybe it was at one point. But it's not the microfilm machine anymore. It's so advanced. And like I said before, there's IT components. I mean, today I spent an hour with a team talking about AI and how we start using that now. The students in high school and our colleges are so keyed into the technology today. It makes total sense to me to reach out to them in the high school setting and get them started, get them their first designation. How incredible would that have been for me if I had had that designation right in high school? Yeah. So it's super important to start early now. Plus, you know, we're all competing. And if you can get that at that level and then roll into an RMI program freshman year because of what you've done in high school, you're so far advanced from other students and you can look for those jobs. So many reasons. The industry itself has the common thing that we say here is we're aging out. The industry is getting older. We need younger people. I totally agree with that. But for me, it's giving back. As a professional in this industry, why would I not go help high school students get in here quick and early and get into these programs and get their education and come out into this industry, you know, ahead of where we all were? I think we have an obligation to pay it back. And that's what I'm trying to do.
And you do it really effectively. I mean, really, the fact of our Emerging Talent Partners program, of which you are one with your company, that support, that financial support and that showing up support is so critical in helping us at the Academy put forth these really robust programs at the high school level, at the university level, continually encouraging that local engagement, which we know can be a little bit of a, piece it together, find out what works. But there are so many folks like you who are doing it seamlessly, who can be the counsel to other industry folks who are thinking like you are. Yes, I'm at this point in my career, or just as a person, I'm committed to giving back, to extending the hand to that rising generation. But how do I do it? How do I get started? And, having folks set the example, but especially with the richness of their own history. It was a high school internship, like you said. So that the internship piece is equally important to the high school exposure. What would you say to your industry colleagues, to your network? You are keen to rally them in support of knowing your story, sharing their own stories, supporting students, specifically with showing up for programs like this that exist. What's that message? What's that challenge that you would make to them?
I have to focus on the payback. I would tell each and every one of them, this industry's been super good to you. And so many people, whether it's at the agency I was in at 15, or the wholesaler that I was in for 24 years, or the carriers that I talk to all the time, or back in an agency, we've all had a success, and we should be paying it back for these students to be able to come in here and get into this industry and add knowledge and new things that we never thought we would be doing. So I think that's important, the payback part of it. Obviously helping the students, like I said, getting them up to speed. And we need help doing that. We need places for these students to be able to intern in, right? We need a lot of that. The more we have participation in that, the easier this process becomes. We also need grants, and we need carriers coming to the table. We need wholesalers coming to the table, agencies helping us with the funds that we need to get these students into the programs. Not every high school can support this, especially in today's environment. Things are being cut back. We need to pick up where things are changing and go out there and be able to pay for these high schools. It's not expensive. It's all, you've done a great job. You've packaged it all together. The teacher doesn't have to do a lot except teach the course. The school doesn't have to put a lot of extra cost and expense into this program. It's pretty much packaged up down to the exam and everything. So it's super easy. We just need help getting it out into the high schools.
Right. And I think the beauty of it too is the fact that there is continuity with our emerging talent programs, with a lot of the emerging talent programs out there. If you're operating at the high school level, it's not in a vacuum. It is with an eye towards, okay, well, what's next? And it's really important to us, as you know, to make sure that showcasing what universities have those RMI programs is core to what the students are getting as part of the education, the exposure, all of that, so that they can plan accordingly, right? Are you going to go direct into the workforce? Fantastic. You're doing it with a designation. Are you thinking about maybe pursuing some university time, a program, 4-year, 2-year? This is what's on offer out there, and really being able to have that whole pathway. I think so much of it boils down to what is that pathway? Because when you think back to your 15-year-old self starting that internship, did you envision a career in the industry? You had your mom already in it, so certainly someone to look up to. But what was 15-year-old Jack thinking would be his future?
Yeah, 15-year-old Jack was thinking, and I grew up in a family where my dad was very abusive, and you and I have shared that story before. And so at 15 years old, I was just trying to survive and not have to go home after school, and actually leave and go straight to work. And I did that. And I actually would go in and work on the weekends as well. So it was a way for me to be protected. We all have a different path of how we wind up somewhere. But for me, it was just, I had no clue that I would end up in a C-suite or that I would be building departments or anything like that. It was just survival at that point. But I do think we all have a path that is set for us well in advance of when we understand it. And that's unraveled and revealed throughout life. And so there's no doubt in my mind that what I was thinking as a 15-year-old was important, but it was also a part of a path that I did not even realize yet.
Yeah. Yeah. And especially getting to it so young, right? How has your view of the industry changed from when you were starting with the microfilms? You were devouring all of the information, everything that you could. It was like it was the escapism that you actually needed. And the fact that it was in an industry that is insurance, ensuring protection, it was just what you needed. But how has your view of the industry changed and continue to change?
Yeah, it does continue to change. The industry itself changes, like we talked about AI and everything, but there are parts of the industry that hasn't changed. And that is that there are good people in this industry. And what I was missing at that age, there were men in that agency that I was able to learn from. And that still happens today. There are good people in these agencies and carriers and wholesalers. And I think that's why we're calling for these good people to help us with this program to help students. perhaps there's another Jack at 15 out there who's struggling and needs an opportunity. And if we're able to help that young man or that young woman get into this industry with good role models like we have here and help them, there's nothing better than that.
Totally agree. Totally agree. And it boils down to exposure. So you're right, when you have the call to action on the industry be to show up, be to give back, because we all gained that exposure at some point in some way. Why not do it in a concerted way? We actually had, you know this, but we had the Academy's first ever high school intern ourselves this summer, and that was a resounding success. And that was somebody who had gone through the program at Pflugerville High School in Texas, and she just was a standout student, passionate about marketing, and we were able to work on some projects with her over the course of the summer that spoke to exposure and immersion in the industry, but also really touting her skills and her interests, and you know, hopefully that's forged at least a lifelong pivot. What she does with that, and there's just the sky's the limit for what she's going to do with it. But getting the students exposed, getting them excited, and like you said, having those role models, having those positive role models is just so critical. And there are so many of them. They really are. They need to be activated.
Absolutely. You know, in some of our board meetings, we've actually had the opportunity to talk to some of those students and hear from them. And it's interesting to see them at that age, because then I look back and I think, okay, I didn't have a clue. And they're kind of in that moment in their life where they're figuring things out, and you look at them, and it would be kind of neat to look back 20 years now and see what these students that were in this program in the very early stages, right? What do they look like 20 years from now in the industry? And wouldn't that be pretty cool?
100%. I think that's, we've also talked about the effectiveness of storytelling, and certainly you sharing your story is exactly that. I think being able to track people and their path and their journey and their ups and their downs and their successes, that's really something that we're committed to doing. We're thrilled to be able to do that with you. We are excited to do that with those early cohorts of students, the current cohorts of students, the future cohorts of students, which, like you said, you know, it's a call to action for all of us within the industry to show up, make that next high school program happen. We all have alma maters. We all went somewhere. It's something that we're here to make it as easy as possible for people to be able to activate locally, so that they can be involved, so they can be able to give back. So,
yep, let's do it then.
Let's do it. It takes a village. I love the commitment. I love your commitment to action. Your energy certainly is contagious. Any last words, rallying cry to the industry, to students for plugging in? Certainly folks can reach out to me on LinkedIn. I would imagine they can also reach out to you about how to get connected, but any parting words to either the industry or student audience about let's do it?
Yeah, let's do it. I would love for people to reach out to me and you know, ask me how they get involved, because we can help them do that. And I would love for somebody to tell me why you wouldn't. I think that would be super hard to do. Why would you not help do this? So yeah, that's the call. You know, either tell me why you can't, why you don't think you should, or let's do it together. And let's make a difference in some kids' lives, some young adults' lives. Because I talked a lot about high school, and you know how much I have a passion for high school. But there's also the universities that you have tremendous programs in. So let's work together, and let's just get this out there so that we change lives.
Let's do it. Thanks for being with us today, Jack. It's always an honor, a pleasure, a delight. Every conversation I have with you, I think I leave ready to go and do, just to spring to action. And so I hope everybody listening feels that as well. Let's do it. Thanks for joining us today, Jack.
All right. Thanks, Sharla.